Welcome back to Dome Candy Games' Random Wad Review. Thought it was about time to resurrect this series, but with so many wads and mods out there, it's a bit overwhelming. Well, thanks to a little Facebook post by John Romero praising a Keck Award-winning mod, I'll be taking a look at Wolfendoom Blade of Agony Chapter 1, The Staff of Kings. First off, okay, this isn't really a random wad, but a full-blown mod. Complete with new maps, textures, music, weapons, everything. According to the website, Blade of Agony is a story-driven FPS. The project is inspired by World War II shooters from the 90s and early 2000s, like Wolfenstein 3D, Medal of Honor, and Call of Duty, but with faster-paced gameplay in the spirit of Doom. But even that doesn't really clue you into what this mod really is, which, in truth, is a whole new game. Now don't jump into Blade of Agony expecting your usual Doom mod, as BOA doesn't immediately put you into the action. In fact, I was initially put off of the mod for this reason. It took putting in some time before I really got to enjoy it. Instead, imagine that you're not really playing Doom, but some other long-lost FPS. An unofficial sequel to the Wolfenstein 3D games, but from some time in the mid to late 90s. When you start, you'll have to first learn the layout of your HQ, a hub-type map that you'll visit after every mission. Here you can talk to characters and interact with a few environmental objects, like a jukebox for instance. Take a little time to learn the place and take in some information, because some of the characters really do have some useful hints, like this guy in the briefing room. It's also advisable to do a bit of training on the range to understand some of the mechanics that are unique to this mod, like using the Panzerschreck, learning how to minesweep, and getting an idea of how the stamina meter works. Starting the first mission involves getting your briefing from the general in the briefing room, then heading back outside to your captain to be shipped out. The missions vary in location from North Africa to several European locations, each with distinct visual styles. Blade of Agony has some trappings of modern FPSs, but it doesn't baby you. Expect some tough challenge ahead, even on Nix Bezonderes. If you're caught off guard, even a lone soldier can do you in. Make liberal use of cover and even crouching and jumping to make your way around. Oh, and don't forget to slice the pie. All that said, gameplay is a bit slower than Doom since your sprint ability is limited by your stamina, but a more cautious approach is usually the more survivable one. Even so, combat is fun, and the varied weapons and gunplay is mostly very satisfying. The pump-action shotgun and the German semi-auto rifle are super fun, though I did have a few why can't I hit this guy moments, particularly when aiming up at catwalks from below. Plus, I never liked scoped sniper rifles in this engine. It's always been disorienting to me, and usually shooting from the hip works well enough. There are also bosses and lots of mini-bosses throughout the game, each displaying a health meter when you aim at them. They're a great excuse to break out things like the flamethrower. With the added flexibility of the GZ Doom source port, Blade of Agony also ramps up the interactivity to Duke Nukem levels. Light switches dynamically affect light, water jugs refill health, sometimes, and a lot of objects are destructible. Don't overlook anything with the red arrow, but especially any yellow marker, as it will often be a critical mission objective. And the objectives are fun, usually not too cryptic either. Although the Paris level did have me stumped for some time. There's an extra level to the gameplay in the form of treasure hunting, both for old-school Nazi gold, like in the original Wolfenstein 3D, but also in Professor Gutenberg's lost documents. Gold gives you the ability to purchase upgrades and items from the armory at HQ, and while most of the time I didn't see much advantage, later on I realized I could bump up my max health, which is a great excuse to search for as many secrets as you can. I'm very interested to go back through the game and find the game cartridges and lost documents. It is a shame, however, that the missions progress in a very linear fashion. There's no way to go back and replay missions to search for items and artifacts you might have missed. As much as I'd recommend Blade of Agony for its gameplay, I might be more inclined to do so just for its charm. The plot in this chapter borrows heavily from the Indiana Jones school of storytelling, with several maps that infuse a bit of the occult into the game. There's a bunch of Nazi zombies and 90s monster weirdness, plus lots of other surprises that I won't spoil. There are even some outright obvious references to The Last Crusade, as well as old games like Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, and even Tomb Raider. As a product of this era of games, I wholeheartedly approve. Again, this ain't Doom. Not really. But it is a great example of what the modern Doom modding community is capable of. Blade of Agony pushes the GZ Doom source port to its limit and does a lot of things the original engine only dreamed of doing. In fact, there are so many effects in later levels that you may experience some performance problems. Oh, and don't run this with something like Brutal Doom. This is a standalone total conversion, and adding anything, at the very least, tarnishes the original vision. As much fun as I had with Chapter 1, I excitedly look forward to playing Chapter 2, which was just released earlier this month. And that's Wolfendoom Blade of Agony Chapter 1. So much more than a WAD, but also much more than most mods. It's a fully fleshed out game with some truly smart game design. Some bugs here and there, and your version of GZ Doom may vary, but nothing game-breaking, at least for me. Great gameplay, great secrets, tons of charm, and some storytelling to boot. Check it out for sure. And thanks as always for watching Dome Candy Games Random Wad Review, because video games are like candy for your dome.